Welcome to the Say Yes Movement podcast. Hey, Heather, how's it going?
It's going good, John. How about yourself? How was your weekend?
It was fantastic. Actually, yesterday I had a
Ooh.
really nice bike ride. I was moving along, I was clipping. It was good. It was so good. It was so good. Well, I'm clipped
That,
into my bike, so that's a good thing. But
that is a good
yeah,
thing.
it was good. I discovered a new coffee house in King City, which was really nice. And yeah, I just got to play around with different things. I got to connect with people this weekend too, right? Dinners, actually lots of dinners this weekend,
Okay.
which was great. Yeah. How about
That's
yourself?
fantastic. You know what? On Friday we left off that, do that one thing and
Mm,
just do one thing. And I needed to purge and get rid of some stuff. My niece is actually going to school in Toronto in September, so I needed to make sure that what's going to be her bedroom is ready to go. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to do one thing. And that one thing was I'm going to do one drawer. Well, of course, that one drawer turned into the closet, the cabinets, the drawers, and the whole shebang, which is exactly what we've always said is just do one thing and then see where it leads you. So I now have purged and it feels so good.
yes. No, listen, the process of clearing, right? I
Yes.
think that it's an actual process. It does. It feels good. You feel like actually, how do you feel? Give us some descriptive words to tell us how you feel.
You know what? I have so many books, John, and so many books that I've read, and then, I give them away, or I have books
Mm,
that are pending to be read, or books that have been given to me. And so I was able to take a good big bag of them and walk around my neighborhood. And we have the little free libraries, and we have lots of
yeah.
them in the neighborhood. So I filled them all up. And so I actually saw two more libraries that are a little bit sparse. So I'm going to do it again today. And it felt really good to know that these books are going to go find another life, and they're going to, and every time I put, I don't know if you've ever done this, John, or if anybody out there does this, is when I put the books in the library, I check to see when they leave. So I know that they've gone on their way to someone else.
Mm,
And so I'll go when I do my walk today, I'll go check those libraries and see if they've been picked up. So, now I feel like they're on a journey, and there's a journey of giving out more leadership into the world in whatever format it makes sense to. So that gets me pretty excited. So I'm excited, but there's still more to go. I still got some work to do, but sometimes we hold on to things because we'll
mm.
get to them someday, or we think it's serving us for a different purpose. And when you let it go, it's like, oh, that feels really, really good. So I feel amazing.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. One of the things I've always wanted to do is put those libraries. Now that I have like a house that's, like a front yard and everything, I've always wanted to put one of those library boxes in front of my house. I think my neighborhood's not really accustomed to them, so people would be like, "What is that exactly?" And
Yeah.
people would be worried about taking. And I know I've seen more of those boxes, more of those libraries downtown. But yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It's a great way to give a book a new life, right? Like a book is something that you should never. I don't know. I don't think you should throw them out, right? You can
Yeah.
donate them, you can give them, you can help give them new life just by giving them to a new person. And I've heard so many great stories of how books have transformed people's lives, right? Like it's
Hmm.
just it's amazing how that can happen. No, so good for you for doing that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who takes the book. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm gonna go drop. I've got a few books too. I got to clear, and I'm gonna go drop them off. And I know there's at least one library that I'm aware of, not in my neighborhood, but just down the street from where I am. I'm gonna go drop off some books
Well,
and
you
just.
know what I
I'm
was
gonna put a
thinking
little
too.
note in them too.
Ooh, that's a really
Mm.
good idea. And maybe maybe there's like should be a website where you send your books traveling and then you like see where they are. I love all those little travel stories with everything, but maybe I'll do a book exchange with my mastermind group too when we get together in person. So,
Nice.
that way we're refreshing our libraries constantly, and I don't feel like it's getting stale. So I think that's a good idea. But this is a process that many parents are going through right now. The kids are getting ready back to go back to school. The kids clothes don't fit them anymore, so it's time to purge and get rid of things. But we do this for school, we do this for a new season, we do this for different times in our lives, but do we do this with our mindset and with our thoughts?
Mm.
I don't know. We don't.
It's funny. I was actually I was on my bike ride yesterday. I did a 50K bike ride, and when you're riding for like 2 hours, you got space for thought, right? Because I listen to music, but I don't listen to music. But just safety thing, I use these bone condensing headphones so I can actually hear all the noise in the traffic. Yeah, it's all about safety first. So I was thinking about this thought of when I was younger of being kicked under the table. Like, so I don't know about you, but I was a pretty mischievous kid. I got into trouble quite a bit, right? Because I
Okay.
didn't really conform to the norms that were around me. So my parents, bless their souls, they were good people. They knew how they wanted me to behave in front of other people, especially people with status. And years ago, we went to go see. I went to go see an uncle in Portugal, and he's an engineer. So it's like, oh, he's the engineer. You got to be you got to be quiet. You don't say anything. And me being me, I'm always talking, always curious in terms of what people are doing. I just want to learn, right? Like I want to absorb, I want to take in. And I would get these kicks under the table, right? Like these kicks on my knees under the table. It's like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, right? And I realized there's moments that I still hold on. I feel those kicks, right? Like I don't say things
Ooh.
I want to say, but I don't say them. And I'm like, why am I still holding on to that? Like, why don't I just clear it once and for all and not worry about having the kicks under the table? And it was one of those things where it's like, we talk about mindset, the mindset of being quiet, not speaking up and not saying what you want to say. And, actually, I did a whole video around this, being unapologetically you, letting go
Yes.
of the things, the barriers, the blocks of things that you thought were holding you back, but don't let them hold you back because you get to choose now, right? There's a point in your life where you get to choose how you want to be and who you want to be. And those rules no longer, the barriers, oh man, what's the word I'm looking for? The things that put you into this box don't have to exist anymore.
Well, and John, that awareness that you came to, was on a bike ride. It was on a moment where your body was moving, you're able to process that, and this is why we say, journaling, meditating, bike riding, doing something, getting out for a really nice long walk. This is the activities that will get your body energized so that you can see the world through different eyes. If you're just trying to get things done and working through your list aggressively and thinking that that's the way to work through the mindset and the things that are holding you back, it's not. And you're so right for you have a choice. Sometimes I still look around like, oh, who's the adult in the room? It's like, damn it, it's me. It's me. I have to be the adult. But adulthood comes with some awesome things. It comes with choices and creating new paths and not doing things the way that you were shown as a child or from our ancestors. It can be a different way. In fact, we've got tons of mentors and people that are doing things differently. We can see it on the internet, and sure, there's a shiny new toy kind of syndrome that happens there, but there is lots of things to learn. And I think my school in the last 2 years has been YouTube videos. And I remember our oven broke and we watched a YouTube video on how to move the door off. And my dad's not alive anymore. Before, it would have been a phone call to my dad and he would have come over. So actually there's a YouTube that's Ask a Dad. And it's like, and he actually does all the advice for people that don't have dads or that need that dad advice. I was like, this is the best YouTube channel ever.
Oh, nice.
I think if we circle back, what's in our mind that's holding us back? Why is it there? Who put it there? And what's one thing that you could say to yourself that would start to reverse engineer or question, is that the truth that you want to live with anymore? So John, back to your point, do you want to be kicked under the table still?
Yeah,
and who's
no.
kicking you still? No, nobody wants to be kicked.
You end up kicking yourself. It's such a funny thing, right? Letting go, right? And what I realized, like, how many other things am I holding on to that I don't want to hold on to, right? And I think there's a moment for all of us where we get like And it's great, right? You're right, because when you're riding, your body's moving, your body's doing. It's almost not like my body's on autopilot because I'm always aware of what's happening with traffic and everything. But it's kind of doing its thing, right? So my mind has like space, it has capacity to kind of explore and kind of see what's going on, right? So thoughts that come in and
Mhm.
out. And what I realized, like, you just need to give yourself that space, right? Like, just let it wander. And, I think one of the most damaging things we do now is we put on headphones every time we go work outside and exercise, right?
Mm.
Like we want to be so distracted from what we're actually doing that we're listening to something else. But you have to give yourself the space to just let things process. That's how you discover, right? This is why meditation is such a great thing, right? Like,
Mm.
there's different ways of meditating. Exercise, you can meditate through exercise because as your body's doing its thing, your mind is clear and you can have those thoughts. And at some point things will just come up for you, and then you get to process them, right? So give yourself space, right? Give yourself time to think. One of the things I've been really learning, and I've been studying the work of Bob Proctor this year. And one of the things he talks about is just giving yourself time for you and to think, right? Like, most of us, we don't think. We want to get away from thinking, or at least according to Bob, we get away from thinking because we want to be distracted from the things that are in front of us. But in order to deal with those things, you have to really process them and give yourself some time to think about them.
A-
So,
and are you even aware of all the distractions that
mm,
you're allowing in, right? Like, you can I love when I get my notification on my phone that says your screen time was down. There's ways to
yeah,
measure all of these things and know that you're on track for the goals of what you wanted to achieve. So, there's definitely distractions that are happening for all of us. And, that there's a reason why those distractions are happening. So, sit down and journal, write about what those distractions
mhm.
are, get curious about yourself, and, ask yourself, do you still want to be the person kicking yourself under the table, or is there something different you want to do? So, John, you processed that yesterday. What's the questions that you asked? What are questions that people could ask themselves to get out of that space? Because awareness happened for you, and then you got to do something. What does that look like?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's a great question. The process that I went through as I was going, I was just thinking about the week, right? I was thinking about things that occurred through the week and just moments in the week. And every time we switch video sides, Heather, people notice.
They
Okay,
notice.
hey
Yes.
Judith, sorry about
Good
that.
morning,
I'll
Judith.
switch it back for Wednesday. It's just sometimes it's the way we end up. Um, so it's a great question. So what I ended up doing, I started just thinking about the week, right? And it was really interesting. I was thinking about the week. I thought about a moment, and I thought about this story about my parents, right? Like, I think it still sits with me, right? Like, I think I was like 6 or 7 years old. Like, that's when this just trip happened, right? And I'm like, but like, why do I still stop myself, right? Like, why do I? There's moments where I stop myself from speaking because I feel like I'm getting kicked under the table, right? So I'm just processing. I'm just asking the question, what can I do different, right? How can I have fun with this? And then how can I take, the one thing I'm sure you're doing this too, but the one thing I'm always thinking about is, how do I turn this into a story? How can I share this with the world, right?
Mm.
So as I was, I'm going to say this here, but I'm going to advise people not to do this. I was on a quiet road. There was no cars, and I'm very good at just holding my hand on my phone while I'm riding my bike. And I'm like, I got to do a video right away on this, right? I got to share this lesson with the world, because how many of us are holding on to those things? So I thought about the week. I thought about, what am I still doing that I'm holding on to? And then it's funny because those stories from our childhood tend to creep up on us, right? And I'm
Yes.
sure, it's like, okay, so let's explore this story. Let me think about the story and how it relates to what I'm thinking about. Because there's always a connection. Our mind is always trying to link things to other things that have happened for us. Like, it just normally does that. Like, our mind is like the greatest puzzle wizard. It knows how to figure things out and put things together properly, right? So I was just processing, and I was asking the question, what can I do different, right? How can I be different? And how can I
Mm.
let go? And what does that really mean? So in front of others, the video came down to just being unapologetically you, right? Like just be you when you want to be you. And don't let, whoever's, and sometimes we replace our parents with people. We replace our parents with coworkers. We replace our parents with colleagues and friends. They're the ones that end up kicking us under the table, saying, "No, don't do that," or "Don't say that." And it's like, but why?
Hmm.
Right? So that's there's just a big it was like a giant sandstorm of things that all came together, and I'm like, how many other people are going through this right now?
Oh, this happens all the
Right?
time, and how many people are unaware it's happening to them? That's the scariest part, is that they're
Mm.
unaware, and then they wonder, well, why don't I feel authentically me? Why don't I feel like this is the right decision for me? And it's because you're still working on this formula that you go out and you get a job and you work hard and you make some money and you retire, and why is that the formula? That's the formula from a very long time ago. And it's also the formula for when women were in the workplace. So like, this is not the only formula. I think the formula right now in life is, and my parents never spoke about this, but is, how do you provide maximum value for everyone
Mm.
that you interact with? And it's why we do the podcast, is why we do what we do, John. But back in the day, my parents, if I told them I was a coach and a podcast, these jobs didn't even exist. So if these jobs didn't exist, why do we have the mindset still coming along and the thought pattern still coming along? They're not going to serve us at the highest level. So we just got to change it. And I on Friday, I invited everyone to think about something that's a goal of yours, and just
Mhm.
act like you've already done it. Act like you're already that person. If there's a job that you want or a promotion that you want to go to, walk into the office today like you're already doing that. No one's holding you back but yourself. So this is the time to just, all right, today I'm going to be that director level, that VP level, and I'm going to make some good decisions. I'm going to impact some people. I'm going to just try it on. And I'll tell you, you try this on and you see the world through a new lens
Mhm.
immediately. It's amazing how your brain, like you said, it's this tool. It will find new solutions for you because
Mhm.
you've now said to it, go find new solutions.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. It's so what I'm hearing in all of this, Heather. It sounds like we've got a 5-day challenge ahead of us.
Oh, what is
So
that?
yeah, so
Yes.
starting today, what is the one thing that you want to focus on this week? What's that one, just one thing, right? Like, so we talked about this on Friday as well, taking those small bites, right? Like taking those small, consistent steps towards where you want to be. So what's that one thing? What's your goal for this week, right? And what can you do towards that goal every single day? And what can you do towards that goal every single day in like 5 to 10 minutes? Right. So does it
Mm.
mean reaching out to somebody? Does it mean connecting? Does it mean journaling? Does it mean like whatever that means to you, just do it consistently for 5 days.
I love
And
that.
then,
And
right?
and what I love is, if you've ever found yourself saying something like, "Oh, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have enough
Mm-hmm.
education." If you've ever said those words, if they've come out of your mouth, that's probably the thing, because your brain found a reason why you can't do it. That's probably the one thing you want to try, and just a small portion to get you closer to that. Try that on. So it might be, I don't have time to meditate. I don't have this or that. That's probably the thing that you want to do for
Yeah.
5 days.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think about even people with fitness, right? Like people saying, well, I don't have time to exercise. I'm like, that's, to me, that's like a crock, right? Like it's a lie. You can always find time for things that you really enjoy doing.
Hmm.
Right. And then, so the thing is, if you don't really enjoy it, keep telling yourself, I find this, what's the word I used when I was training for my Ironman? This is fun. This is easy. Let's go. This is fun. This is easy. Let's go.
Mm.
Right. So rephrase or reframe, some of the
Reframe.
things that you're telling yourself that you don't like, and reframe them with something more empowering and something more powerful. So as you do your work this week, right, you're picking one thing, you can journal, you can exercise, whatever that one thing is for you. We want to hear about it on Friday, right? So what's
Mhm.
that one thing you're going to be focusing on? What's that one thing that you're going to take and you're going to put effort into just a little bit every single day this week? And that if you do that, I can guarantee you where you're going to show up on Friday is going to be very different. Because Heather, I think about us and where we are right now, in terms of our lives and our careers and, all the different hats that we put on in a day. I love it because there are no restrictions.
No restrictions.
There's nobody kicking us under the table telling us we can't do that. We're like, we can do whatever we want. And we want to invite you to do whatever it is you want, as long as it's what you want, and just do it consistently for 5 days. And then Friday, we'll check in and see where everybody's at. And I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear that one thing that you did for yourself this week, because there's going to be so much more. It's more than just the task, right? This is one thing I've learned in setting any sort of goal for yourself. It's more than this. It's more than just the task. It's who you become in the process, right? And you let go of the how, because the how doesn't matter, right? The how really doesn't matter. But it's who you need to be, right? It's like when you walk into the office and, people talk about wanting a promotion, like you just said, they get to see the world through a different set of eyes when you start standing in the shoes of that person. Whether you're
give yourself the promotion.
VP, give yourself the promotion before you get the promotion. And then you get the promotion, right?
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is so exciting, John. Let's make this happen. So everyone, and here's the other piece to add to it. You can reach out to us. You can tell us what it is, that one thing that you're going to do, but tell someone that's close to you. Tell someone that's living with you, that's close to you, that you're going to see this week, what that one thing is, and invite them to join the challenge with us. 5 days. Let's make it happen. We'll have so much to celebrate on Friday.
All right. So that is it for this episode. I can't believe how quickly these things go, but that is it for us today. Wishing everybody an awesome day. And just remember, when you shift your mindset, you shift your life. Have a great one, everybody. See you Wednesday. Take care.